Good morning, everyone. We are going to present to you today a demonstration of our online form for the notification of demolition and renovation abatement. My primary expertise is the software and the functionality of the system, but we do have Mark Needham here, the manager of the asbestos program, that can also help to answer some technical questions if you have some of those as well. Just to give you a high-level summary, we have, as of January 1st, the Ohio Department of Health asbestos program for licensing, certifications, and training approval moved to Ohio EPA. We've done many different forms of outreach to try to make sure that everyone is aware of this transition with the new merge notification form, et cetera, and we feel like the word's gotten out there pretty well because we are receiving phone calls, we are receiving forms here at the office. So we appreciate all of you and your patience with us as we go through this transition, and part of that includes getting this software stood up for you all to be able to use. We did publish the merge notification form in December. That was the area where we can both parties, both the regulated community as well as the Ohio EPA, can realize the most benefits of merging this program together. We just want to make sure that we remind everyone that all forms should be sent to Ohio EPA. That includes any applications for certifications, licenses, and training approval documentation. Those, we do have some customers that are still sending those directly to the Department of Health. We are receiving those, but from the Department of Health, but we're only going to continue to do that probably through summer. So please do address those to Ohio EPA. We have done previous webinars. If you were unable to attend, they are available on YouTube, and we have a link to those from our webpage. There is one that describes the overall program merger, as well as the review of the hard copy notification form, and any technical questions that were asked during that are also in that video. Okay, online forms in the e-Business Center. So in January, we did release the notification of demolition and renovation abatement on the e-Business Center. It was toward the end of the month and unfortunately was delayed from our originally projected date of January 5th. But we wanted to make sure that we put out a product that would function for you all, obviously. We are going through and we've received notifications through that system and received electronic payments without a problem. We have several people here that are available to assist you with any questions that you may have. So we want to make sure that this product works well for you, so we will make sure that you have the phone number and the email address so that you can feel free to contact us and we can make sure that you can successfully use this system to your benefit. Beginning in the summer of this year, we will also have migrated into the e-Business Center the ability to submit applications for licensing, certifications, training notifications, et cetera. So eventually everything will be in Ohio EPA's e-Business Center. We do still receive any online applications and training notifications that you've submitted through the Department of Health and paid for there. We have an agreement with that agency to continue those services through their software up until the point that we implement and get everything merged into the e-Business Center. Okay, I just want to point out a few of the benefits that you will realize if you do choose to use the online system. One of those is clear communication. We have email alerts set up in the system so that a user will be notified when a notification is received. So once you hit submit and you've paid for the notification that you are submitting to us, you will receive a confirmation email that we received it. You will also receive a receipt that will be a receipt for you for the amount that you paid to the agency. You will also receive other notifications for whether or not that becomes accepted, which I'll explain kind of the statuses of notifications later in this presentation. But it's just an easier way for you to know, without sending something hard copy certified mail, that we actually got it, we got the check, we also accepted it, and as far as it being a complete notification. So that communication will be there for you. We've also, the way we've implemented this program, not only because of the way that we've created the new merge notification form, but we're also, excuse me, there are also in place several areas that will save you time. Less data entry, we have the ability for you to search for existing owners, contractors, landfills, fire departments, anywhere that we could save data entry time for entities that get sent to our agency over and over again. It saves you the data entry of having to enter in the information for those entities that you want to give us data on. The fees are calculated for you. So the total fee amount is presented to you with an explanation of how it was calculated. So as you've experienced, if you've had to submit a new notification form in hard copy, we have a worksheet to try to make that easier for you to calculate on your own, but it still is by no means simple. So one of the benefits is that you don't have to do those calculations. The software does that all for you and explains to you how it was calculated, and there's no time spent on your side because it does it all along the way. Validation of the complete form or of a complete form, we will not accept any partially completed notification forms. So as much as a computer can assist you in making sure that you submit a complete document to us, we've done that where we can through validation to make that happen for you. In addition, for any of you out there that are submitting a form with multiple project addresses, or what's called an installation, if you have done that, we have the ability for you to export a summary of the projects that are contained within that notification. So say, for example, you have a dozen different project addresses on one notification form. You'll be able to export that to Excel and be able to see the start and end dates for when work is being done, as well as the total RECM numbers. Okay, let's dive into why we have the eBusiness Center and what is the eBusiness Center, because this might be a new concept for some of you that were used to the ODH system. At Ohio EPA, we have a software portal for all the different divisions. So our divisions of surface water, materials waste management, et cetera, our e-payment, everything is located in one place in the eBusiness Center. So when you log into the eBusiness Center, you will not only see asbestos, you will see many different areas where you could be submitting information to the agency. This system has to be compliant with the Federal Cross-Media Electronic Reporting Rule, or CROMER, for submitting data. Also as a part of the asbestos program, when you're submitting information for NESHAPs, that is a federal program. So in order for us to have an online system, it has to be compliant with this federal rule, and this system does handle that. Each division and program area has specific regulatory requirements. So when you go into the asbestos software, you can immediately access the functionality and go in and create a notification. And for other divisions, that is not the case, or even other program areas in the Division of Air Pollution Control, which is where the asbestos program resides. So if you are currently a user of the eBusiness Center for other program areas, you can still continue to use the eBusiness Center for asbestos notifications using your same account, but it will be maybe not as easy to get into other business areas as it is to get into asbestos currently. Okay, in addition, as I mentioned, how we're trying to make this a good experience for all of the users so that we can encourage everyone to go electronic and use it because it will save time for everyone. The software will be evolving over time. As you know, this all came along in a 6-month period of time where we went through and stood up this piece of software, and we feel like we're pretty close to the goal, but we know that there are areas where we can improve, such as being able to delegate access to different forms to different, contractors or owners or other users and things like that. So the software will be enhanced over the next 6 months to try to meet what those needs are. So if you do have comments about areas that would make your experience with the software a lot easier one way or the other, please feel free to give comments to us, and we will do what we can to make that happen. Okay, as far as the e-Business Center goes, there's a couple of very important concepts that we need to make sure that everyone is clear on. Number one is an account. You can only use the e-Business Center if you have created an account in that system. So there is one account per person. You use your account across other programs like I explained. So if you already have an account to do something for maybe drinking in groundwater, or if you are an owner and you have air pollution control permits, but you also have to submit an asbestos notification form, you can do that using the same account, because that just represents you as a person doing business with Ohio EPA. So any person can go in and create an account where you create a username and your password and a security question. I will demonstrate this for you in just a few moments. Okay, separate from that is a PIN number. So some divisions, including and program areas, including asbestos, require a PIN number in order to submit. So you relate a PIN number to an account. So you don't have a PIN number that is shared across several accounts. It represents a personal wet ink signature. So for example, if I am the owner or president of a company and I have my account and my PIN number, when I go submit any form to the agency, that's the same as going through and doing a wet ink signature and a date in order to sign off on that form. So the really important message here is that you do not want to share an account or a PIN with anyone. So you do not want to create an account and then give it to your staff and give them your PIN number necessarily. If they were to use someone else's account and PIN to sign off on a document, then that is forgery, because it would be like they were forging your wet ink signature. So we just want to make sure that everyone is clear on what these things mean. Again, this is set up in place because of the federal requirements that we have to meet in order for to be able to receive the data and be able to keep it secure for you. So just make sure that that is clear, and I will demonstrate how you go about getting your account and PIN shortly. This is just kind of an overview of what all we'll be covering during this training. Okay. Who can access and see the project information? Each account holder can only see the notifications that have been created by that account. So when you go in and you have your one account, the first time that you go into the software, you will not see any notifications there. So even if you have submitted some in the past using the ODH software system, you won't be able to see those specific forms that you submitted in the past there. We're kind of starting fresh with this new system. So the first thing that you would be able to do in this system would be to create an original notification. So you would not be able to go into the system and begin revising a notification form that you submitted in the past in hard copy, or that you submitted in the past via the ODH software system. So you'd begin by creating an original new form with us for upcoming projects. So once you've created that original, you will be able to view that, obviously. You'll be able to generate revisions for that. You'll be able to create PDF versions of those forms. You will also be able to cancel any notifications for projects that have not begun. In the future, for the planned enhancement, the biggest one that I know of that will be coming down the pipe will be the ability for different accounts to delegate access to other users to see your notifications. So say, for example, you are the asbestos abatement contractor, and you want to delegate access to the owner of the building so that they can go in and see the notifications that you've submitted for their projects. In the future, we anticipate the ability for you to be able to do so. We don't yet know what the business rules are going to be for who can actually do revisions to those, like who the ultimate responsible person can be for signing off on ones once they've been submitted by a certain entity. We have not discussed and come up with those requirements yet, but that is one of the planned enhancements, and we've heard that loud and clear from users that we've heard from so far, and just wanted to get that out there that that is something that we are planning on implementing. Okay. So as far as just a high-level review, and again, we'll go through and demonstrate all of this, when you create and submit a form in the eBusiness Center for the asbestos program, for the original and as well as for the revisions, it is the exact same fields as what you have on the Word and PDF form. So all of the fields and requirements that are on the merged form, it appears in the same order and in the same general organization as what you would see on that hard copy form. It has the same convenience and rules. You have one form per county, per owner, and abatement contractor if it's applicable. So you can have more than one project address, or what is on the hard copy form is section 2. So you can put in as many different project addresses as you need to, as long as they are the same county, same owner, same abatement contractor. So it is okay for you to have, just like it is on the hard copy form, for you to have different demolition contractors for each project address. That's totally acceptable. You'd access this, when you go into the system, the only button you have available is Create New Notification. That's how you'd begin. And again, I'll demonstrate this for you shortly. As we discussed before, it must pass form validation in order to be considered complete. So we make sure, for example, that you've given us a county and an owner and contractors. If you've indicated you're doing asbestos abatement, we'll make sure that you've given us a contractor, et cetera. We hope that that will save both you time as well as us in the review to make sure that we've accepted the data that you've given us. When you go to submit an original notification, you will be required to have a PIN number and to answer a security question. So after you have done those two things, then you will be navigated to complete an electronic payment for that notification. Once you have completed that notification, entered your PIN, security question, and successfully paid electronically, then you will receive confirmation emails letting you know that we received the form and that you received payment. If you are not able to successfully complete electronic payment, the notification does not get submitted to us, and we will have not received it. So just to be clear, you do not want to begin the notification process online if you are not willing to pay for it electronically up front. We do not allow a situation where you would submit a notification form and then send a check in later. If you're going to handle it that way, then a hard copy form needs to come with a hard copy check. Okay, revisions. You can, in the software, revise any active original notification that your account has submitted. So you will go in and create your original first. From that point forward, you can revise your notification however you need to. If for some reason you submitted your original notification and your computer breaks down or whatever the case may be, it is possible for you to revise a notification that you submitted electronically on hard copy, but not vice versa. So if you submitted the original using your account, you can revise it that way. You could revise it hard copy if you need to for some reason, though that would take probably more time on your part, so I wouldn't really advise that you do that, but you can. But you cannot revise an original notification if it was submitted in hard copy using the software. Okay, so the system will allow you to revise most of the fields on the form except the county, the owner, and the abatement contractor. You can change in contact information about it. So for example, if you had a change of an employee, You can, but you can't necessarily change the owner name or the county name or the contractor. If you have those kinds of changes and the software won't allow you, you can always call us and we can talk you through it and determine what the best course of action would be. Again, for revisions, the system will make sure that you've passed form validation in order to make sure that we receive a complete notification form. When you're submitting revisions, you will again be entering a PIN number and answering the security question, but at that point in time, there is no payment or refund until all the projects are complete. So just like with the hard copy forms, you would go through, you would submit your notification up front with your fee payment, and then once you get to the revision stage, you can just continue to submit revisions as you need to, and we'll be going through and kind of calculating that fee total, you know, because as you know, things can change a lot through the course of working in a project. So if it turns out that you have more asbestos or less asbestos or whatever the case may be, when you get down to the end of the projects where all of the projects are completed within that notification, at that point we would look at how much you have paid us versus what the total amount is due, and we would either issue a refund to you or we would send an invoice to you for the remaining balance. There are no revisions allowed in the software after 3 working days past the completion date. So we keep the form open and in an active state for you up through once the last working project end date has passed 3 days after that. Then at that point we'll move it down to being locked down so that you can no longer revise that. Anything to add, Mark? No. Okay. Canceling notifications. Only notifications that have not passed the abatement or demolition start date can be canceled. So if you have submitted a notification to us and said that the project began February 12th and try to come in and cancel a notification because work didn't actually begin, the system will not allow you to cancel that because the project start date has already passed. But if you can cancel notifications if it's in advance. So if it was going to be starting this Friday, you could go in and cancel it with no problem. Again, at any time, if you have any, circumstances where you feel like, you still need to be able to cancel it for whatever the reason may be, you just need to call our number and talk to the support staff, and we'll see what we can do and kind of talk through the issue with you. And just to be clear, when we are canceling notifications, once you've submitted a notification to us and you've paid the notification fee, it's in our system. We've begun work on it, scheduling inspections and reviewing the forms, et cetera. If you cancel the notification, then at that point there is no refund that will be issued. Okay. So that there will be no, let me clarify, there will be no refunds of the notification fees, but not the RACM amount. Okay. Excuse me. There are 3 areas for the notifications when you log into the system. Just to make sure that everyone is also clear with how the eBusiness Center functions. So there are unsubmitted or draft project notifications. So at that point, Ohio EPA cannot see the forms or content until it is submitted. So forms can be saved and worked on in the future. So if you come in and you're starting to compose a project notification form and you have several project addresses that you're collecting information on, and you can go ahead and fill out what you know, save it, go to lunch, come back the next day, and it will still be in the unsubmitted draft area for you to come back and edit and work on. Once you have submitted successfully, entered your PIN number, paid your fees electronically, and you get your notifications confirming that you've done all of that, then Ohio EPA can then see them, and it moves into the active project notifications area. So any items that are in the unsubmitted draft project notifications, we can't see that. I mean, you can be going in there and saving and estimating the amount of RACM that's around, but it won't come into us as a final number that you notified us of until you've pinned it and paid for it. Excuse me. So let's see. Okay, so they will remain in the active project notification area until all the projects are completed and any of the outstanding balances have been paid. There's another area down below is the completed or canceled project notifications. So once the time clock has gone past and the projects are done and the fees are paid, it will move into the completed or canceled project area. And that will include all the forms that are submitted with the account that are no longer active. So after some time, if you've been submitting many notifications over the years, then obviously things are going to be going from top to bottom, and you'll end up potentially with many notifications that are in the bottom bucket once all these projects have completed. But I will demonstrate for the system how you can search through those and review them and take a look at them over time. Okay, there's a concept of a notification status that has been we've used some of those in the past at ODH, but we've kind of modified them a little bit, so it's important to be familiar with these because you'll be able to view them on the system. There's a status of ready for review. Once you have submitted a draft notification with your PIN and paid the fee, it will be in a ready for review state. So that means that the notification's been received and Ohio EPA staff will soon be reviewing that. Another status is accepted. Once Ohio EPA has reviewed all the information that was submitted and confirms that all the required information is present, then we go through and accept the notification, and that status will be reflected to you. You will also receive a notification via email that we have accepted your notification. There's a deficient status. So if Ohio EPA reviews the notification and it is incomplete, we will certainly, because there's such a tight time frame with the 10-day notification period, we will try to get back to you, likely with a phone call as quickly as possible. But if for some reason we're unable to get a hold of you or unable to resolve the situation, then that will be put in the status of deficient. Then you'll see that reflected out on the eBusiness Center. The payment due status is when all work at the project addresses is complete, and based on the revisions we've received, there's an outstanding balance that is due. So you will be able to go online and pay that fee if you would like to, or we will be sending an invoice to you either via email. If you've submitted electronically, it will come that way, or if it was a hard copy, it would be coming with an invoice. But either way, you can go through and submit that payment online. Complete is the other status we have, and obviously all work is complete and no balance is currently due. And canceled, so the work did not begin at these projects and the notification has been canceled. So that would be once you, the user, has gone into the eBusiness Center and canceled a notice, it would move into the canceled state. Okay, so now we will kind of navigate over to the system, and I'll put this slide up later when we're answering questions as well. But I've been discussing, having you guys call us for help, and this number is the asbestos number that Health's been using for years, so that remains the same with the 466-0061. On Chrome, right? Okay. So I'm in this demonstration today using our test system. So this URL that you see up here is not one that you can use to get into the system. When you go to the eBusiness Center, you will want to go to this website, the ebiz.epa.ohio.gov. If you're on our website, there are buttons on every page to go to the eBusiness Center. But it's always the same starting page. So on the eBusiness Center, if you already have an account number for whether it's a business with another division, whatever the case is, you can enter in your user ID and password and log into the system. If you do not yet have an account, you can click on Create New Account. So when you create a new account, you can come in and create your own user ID. And then after that, it will start asking you for information about yourself, because we, again, associate one account with one person. Oh my gosh. Okay. You will also be establishing your password. And you have to give yourself a password hint and a security question. Let's see, security question. So you generate your own security question and your own security answer, so you want to make sure that it is something that you can remember, because over the years we've had people that have established a username and gave themselves a security question that they don't know the answer to. And so please make sure that you're asking yourself a question that's really easy for you to recall when you're under a tight timeline. Okay, so enter in your address and an email account. Okay, so once you have entered in all the basic information that is required, including your password hint, your security question and answer, you can click Create Account. And if you are trying to create an account where that account name already exists, like for example, if you were to try to create one that was eAngle, it would give you a message that says, I'm sorry, this username has already been taken. So it does have those kinds of securities on the system. But once you have your account created, then you're ready to go. So I'm just going to click Log On and enter in my new account information. And you can get into the eBusiness Center. So once you get into the eBusiness Center with your account, you have access to see all of the different services that are available at Ohio EPA. So I realize that the resolution on this screen is a little bit hard to read, but there are many different program areas that use the eBusiness Center. So for example, if you wanted to come on here and pay a fee online, there's a link down here to pay Ohio EPA fees online. There's Air Services, which is something that we use for air permitting. The next one down is Asbestos Project Notification. So that is what you would click to get to the asbestos software. But the most important thing that you need to do if you do intend on submitting a notification is to get a PIN number. So you cannot sign off on submitting a project notification to us until you have a PIN number so that you can electronically sign the document. So once you've created your account, you'd come under My Account and click on Request New PIN. So this is something I cannot demonstrate the entire process on because this is going through and verifying your personal information. So when you're submitting a PIN request, it's using US EPA's identity verification software. If you are not comfortable entering this information into the system, we do have a form you can fill out, but that means that you won't be able to get your PIN number for like 5 to 7 business days. If you get your PIN number initially and you complete this form electronically, you want to follow these instructions as best that you can. So for example, if you have entered in your first name, your last name, your home address, if you live on 236 Como Avenue, you just put in 236 Como, for example. Your personal phone number should be your home phone number because it's trying to verify your identity and most likely your cell phone number, unless that's literally the only phone number you've ever had. You would just use your personal home phone number. Again, we have this concept where you need to enter in your own security questions. When you go to submit a form with Ohio EPA, it will rotate through these security questions, so you are not presented with the same security question every time, so you do need to provide us with all 5 security questions and answers. So down below, we have online identity verification. If you choose to do this, you will need to enter in your birth date and the last 4 digits of your Social Security number. Once you've read through this and click, I have reviewed the above information and would like to proceed, you check this box and click on Verify Identity. So it will give you 3 different attempts within a 1-day period to go through an attempt to verify your identity. So if for some reason it comes back and says it was unable to validate it, you want to obviously confirm you've entered in all of this data correctly, and particularly make sure, like if you've recently moved, you could try your old address, because it might be that, you know, your online identity is more associated with your old address than your current address, for example. If you need any assistance, you can give us a call and we'd be happy to help try to talk you through it. But if you go through and if it fails and or you decide that you do not want to have it do an online identity proofing, we do have the ability for you to submit this in hard copy. So if you do select that you want to check to get your PIN via hard copy, then you can click Request Hard Copy PIN, and it will take you through the instructions for how to get the form completed, get it notarized, and sent in to us so that you can get your PIN number. So once you've acquired your PIN, you will be able to come in. If you forget your PIN, you can request that it display your PIN number for you once you've answered your security questions. It is very manageable. In the past, if you've heard things about the e-Business Center and the PIN process, we about a year ago went through and made this online identity proofing improvement so that you can usually get a PIN number and an account within 15 to 20 minutes from when you start the process. Okay, so for demonstration purposes, I'm going to log out as this account that I just created and use my account so that I can demonstrate that part of it for you. So I'm going to log out as my fake user I just created. And I'm going to log in as me. So once you have a PIN number in the system, you can come here under My Account, and if you've forgotten your PIN, you can click View PIN and enter your security questions. This is a test system, so I don't have really great valid questions, and it will show you what your PIN number is. So this is why you should not ever share your account with other people. You might think, I can give my account number to my assistant or my account name to my assistant, and my assistant can come in, you know, and complete the form for me, and then she won't have my secret PIN number. Well, she does have access to view your PIN number, so you just want to be careful of that. Once you do get your PIN, you need to come in and activate it. So let's see. So once you come in and you've received your PIN number, you need to come in and activate it. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. And during this demonstration, I am using our test system, so that might be a little bit slow in some areas, because we don't have the faster servers in our test environment, so please don't think it's going to be a bad experience for you. Okay, so once I have my account established, I have my PIN, I've come in here, I've established my PIN, I've activated my PIN, I should be ready to go. If I need to deactivate it for some reason, I can. If I need to view it, if I need to change my information, if I get married and get a new last name, whatever the case is, you can manage all of that here, as well as any account information that you need to modify. So again, your username and for your account and your PIN number is for the entire agency. It is not just for asbestos. It will work for any of these systems. Okay, so now I'm clicking on asbestos project notification and moving into the software system like I normally would. So like I was showing you before in the demonstration, there are 3 different areas. We have unsubmitted draft project notifications, which I currently do not have any that are in those buckets. I have active project notifications, which I currently have 4 of in my demonstration system here, and completed or canceled project notifications. There are certain common items that you're going to see in the system. So the button for create new notification is up here in your top right. It will always appear there so that you can begin the process to generate a new draft notification. If there are actions that you need to perform, they're usually on, or almost always on the right-hand side. So for example, I've submitted 4 project notifications in this demonstration. I have 3 of them that are in a ready for review state, so Ohio EPA has not reviewed those yet. And I have 1 that's been accepted, so Ohio EPA has reviewed it and accepted it as being a complete notification. Once they're down in this area, you can click on this Actions button on the side, and you can see the different items that are available for you to do. So you can click View Current PDF, Download All PDF, which means you can download a PDF copy of that specific notification, as well as any revisions and any of the attachments that you have made to that form. You can view the notification, you can revise it, or you can see a list of all of the projects that are associated with it. So if I click on projects, you can see a list of all of the projects that are currently within this notification. So if you have multiple, it will give you 1 row per project address with the summary of the RACM amounts, the demolition start and completion dates, abatement start and completion dates, fees, etc. This is one of the areas where if you had some comments or if you want to see different information, because it would be more convenient for you if you could have a different field here, that would be a good example of a place where some feedback could be helpful. But you can at any point click Export to Excel, and it will export this data to Excel so that you can generate it, print it out however you want to. We also have this ability to hover. So over on the left-hand side, if you hover over these addresses, you can see the list of all the different addresses that are contained just as a quick look. So if you're looking at this and you can't figure out which notification it is that you're looking at, it might be able to help you if you go to look at the project addresses to get an idea of which ones are there. So let's take a look at projects. So this is an example of a notification where I have many different projects that we submitted in this. So worst case scenario, or best case scenario, depending on how you look at it, you could have many different projects that you're working on, and there could be hundreds of them, so you can't see them all in this view. So you want to filter down and only see the information for the ones that are on a specific street, let's say, so that you can go through and plan a visit to your sites. So there is this search capability down here to be able to filter on items. So let's say I want to only view the ones that are on Kenmore. I can type, as I start to type the word Ken, it will filter this list down so that you can only see the ones that are on that certain street. So we hope that this kind of convenience will help you in trying to sort through the work that you guys need to do so that the system can kind of help you know which project sites you have submitted notifications for, which ones are currently outstanding, et cetera. Okay, so let's go ahead and create a new notification form. So I'm going to click Create New Notification. At the beginning, this summary area is just a way for you when you first log in to know of the project addresses that you've submitted notification for, what certain characteristics it has. So later we'll show up here that if we do a demolition only, it's only going to show demolition up here. Or if it has both demolition and renovation abatement, it will show both. The next area here are instructions that we try to put up front to make sure that no one wastes their time. There's an important note down below which your eye is drawn to because it is bold, which I already discussed, which is to make sure that if you are proceeding with entering a notification, that you want to make sure that you're going to be able to either pay via credit card or electronic check. There is also instructions stating that work on projects cannot begin until 10 working days after an original notification form, including payment, is submitted. So the system will enforce that through validation. The notification, this instructions here, I'm not necessarily going to read them all through, but as a high-level summary, the system will not accept courtesy notifications. So if it is not required for you to submit a notification to Ohio EPA, then the system will stop you and prevent you from submitting it to us, and it will prevent you, obviously from paying any notification fees, etc. So if you disagree and you feel like you should be sending in this notification for some reason, that's a good example of time when you can give us a call and we can talk through the situation with you. If at any point in time you have any questions whatsoever about the form, there is a little question mark up here at the top where you'll see little question marks throughout the system where the little help will pop up here. So on the question marks, you have click here for instructions or call the helpline. In addition, we will be enhancing this over time, but if you click on that question mark, instructions for the form will pop up so that you can see what a definition is for each one of the fields that you are presented with. So over time, this will be enhanced as we get more time on our hands to implement this program with the new system. Okay, so assuming you have a project notification, notifiable project, that you want to submit, we have Section 1 general information, just like you do in the hard copy form. So in this example, I'm just going to submit a demolition only notification. So again, it has to be one county, one owner, one abatement contractor if applicable. So in this case, we're going to say this is in Cuyahoga County. Oh, let's do Franklin County. Okay, so the first field that I am presented with is the owner. There is online help available that explains the owner of the project. You have to give the addresses must be provided, and it explains what this question is here. If the owner is anything other than a person that owns the house, so let's say you have Jenny Fields owns the house. If you answer, is this a company? No. These fields here change to first name and last name for you to be able to search on. If you do not find that person in the search, you have the ability to add a new owner so that the next time if you do work for that customer, it will be in our database for you to find. So in my example, I'm going to choose a company. So let's say I'm doing work for Ohio State. So I'm going to pick Ohio State University from the list. If I do not find the company that I am looking for here, or if I do not find the person, you have the ability to come in here and click Add New Owner, and also, again, answer the question, is this a company, yes or no, and complete this information and save it, and that will just be adding that entity into our database so that it will be available to search the next time it comes through. So in my example here, let me go through and finish my search here. So I'm going to pick Ohio State University, and you'll see this is where it populates for me Ohio State, the address, city, state, zip, so I don't have to do that data entry. If I accidentally pick, say, the wrong Ohio State University or the wrong Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, you can click on Clear Owner Data, and it will clear out those fields so that you can start your search again. I'm going to go ahead and go with what I've got here, and I'm just going to enter in the contact name. Okay, and I'm just going to continue to scroll down through my form. You'll note that at the bottom of the form, there is a bar that does not move. So this bar down here on the bottom, let me just take a moment to review what's happening down there, since you probably noticed that. There are 4 buttons over on the right. There's Validate. So if I click Validate right now, it's going to come up with a list of things that are currently missing in order for you to be able to submit this form. So this white box that pops up gives you the complete list for currently what we know of that you are submitting for us. This is all the information that is needed. Once you click Validate at any point in time, a little message appears down at the bottom, and this kind of gives you like the top 5 if you just wanted to keep this reference here. But at any point in time, if these messages are driving you nuts, you can click this little X box and it will go away. So Validate is giving you the fields that where we know that you need to submit information for us based on what you've entered. Save is pretty obvious. It will go through and let you know that you've saved. Once you've completed everything, you can click Submit to get it to us, or if you exit, it will take you back to the notification screen. So if I click Exit now, I can see in my unsubmitted draft project notification area this one that I'm currently working on. So if I want to go back into it, I click on Actions and click Edit. On the left-hand side of this scrolling title bar, we have Notification ID. So you can see here this help that appeared over the top. If I click on that at any point in time, it will generate a PDF version of my form. It will also be keeping a total of what my current fee is. So my current fee is $0, obviously because I haven't filled in that much information. But we will also, if you click on this, it will pull up a notification fee summary to explain to you how we came up with that total. Okay, so back to my notification completion so that we can flow through section 1. So we've gone through, we've indicated what our county is, we've selected our owner. In our example where we're filling out for demolition only where there is no asbestos present, I do not have an abatement contractor, so I'm going to continue to scroll down. I do have to indicate who the billing contact is. That is required. One of the enhancements in the system that will be coming is that once you've selected if the billing contact is associated with the owner, the abatement contractor, or the demolition contractor, then it will automatically populate this information in here, but it's not here yet, so we'll work through it. So this is to deal with a situation if your accounting department that needs to receive a bill is at a different location than where the owner address is or where the main office is, then it accommodates that situation. Okay.
And even though you're going up billing, even though you're paying first, why do you have to have billing information?
Oh, okay. So Mark brought up a good point. Just an explanation is why do you have to have billing information here? So when you go to validate and submit and pay, you're required to pay at that point in time for the initial fee. So through the course of your project, before the project completes, as you're filling out revisions, which potentially would be, upping or lowering or making a project have different notification fees kick in, when the reconciliation of that happens, if an amount is due or if amount is going to be refunded, it's going to come through this to this person. So that is why we require a billing contact so that we can get that situation remedied once the revisions have come through and once the completion dates are done. Okay, the next area that you're brought in contact with is the fire department. If you are conducting fire training to do a demolition, you can go through and locate the fire department or add a new fire department, just like you did the owner information. And an asbestos hazard evaluation specialist and evaluation procedure. We want to complete that because it's required. I'm going to pick on Mark because he's sitting here. If you are submitting for more than one project address and you have more than one evaluation specialist, we don't have the ability for you to add several evaluation specialists, but you can list them in a document and make an attachment to the notification form to make sure you submit that information if it's important. Okay. Procedures to be followed should unexpected raccoon be discovered. I'm just going to say evacuate the area. In all places in the software, if you check the box for other, an item will appear here. I have the resolution kind of off so that you can see it better in your demonstration, but if you have the resolution out a little bit more, these things are all associated with each other. So since we were doing the demonstration and trying to make it zoom in a little bit more, it looks a little bit off. So my apologies for that. Okay, so we're doing a planned demolition. I'm just going to check manual demolition here, but obviously you will fill it out according to whatever's happening at your site. If you have additional information, like for this description of affected facility components, at any point you can go out and grab any attachment and upload it to the system. So this works just like all other software where if you click on Browse, you can go choose the file and it will show up as an attachment that you can view. Okay, I don't have asbestos in my project, so I'm going to leave those areas blank, so I don't need to answer number 6 or number 7 or number 8. If it's an emergency demolition, I would have to complete this information, but since this is not an emergency, we will go ahead and leave those blank. And now I'm down to section 2. So if I had the situation where I had several evaluation specialists, again, you can go through here for this general notification attachments area. So if you had any other additional information you wanted to give the agency or that was asked for or requested, when you go through and do a revision, or if you're doing an original, you can upload that file here to have it associated with that notification. So if I go through, I'm just going to find any file, but you would find your specific, oh, it wouldn't let me do that. Let me go find, I'll go find another attachment here in just a moment. So what I'm going to do here, once we've uploaded our attachment, which this likely isn't working because we're in our test environment, we can go through and add our project addresses. So again, you have the same features that I was showing you on the external side, where once we get data entered here for as many projects as we have, we will go through and you can filter columns just like you can and look up certain sites on different streets, etc. So right now I don't have any, so I am going to click on Add Project Address, and you'll see section 2 then pops up for me to fill out for this. So building name, let's call it Harding Building. So let's say we're demolishing, what's a good example, Mark, if you're demolishing a whole building, site location?
Entire building, entire site.
All right. Okay, so we enter in our square feet. Okay, so I'm going to go through, again, we're just doing a demolition only, so I'm going to click on demolition. Is asbestos present? No. This is another area which just looks slightly different than the form, and we will likely be modifying it in the future, where on the form it says, is asbestos present? No, and then there's another question that says no, and if you're abated, you give the year. So if it was a situation where asbestos was previously abated, you would put the year that was accomplished here. In section D, I don't have any asbestos, so since I answered no, so I'm going to leave this area blank. And in this case, I do not have any abatement dates, but I do have a demolition contractor. So I can come in here and search for my contractor and select it, or I can come in here if it turns out that this is not the contractor that I meant to select and I need to add a different one because it doesn't exist in here yet, I'll click Clear Demolition Contractor Data and click, you'll see that it went away down here, and click Add New Demolition Contractor. Okay, and then, actually let me enter in a valid address. Okay, so once I have added a new demolition contractor, that information will appear down here and it will be available for me to search the next time I do a demolition, and if I need to use that same demolition contractor, it will be available to me. Then section G, we'll enter in what our start dates are for the project. Okay, so we're at the bottom of section 2, and again we have this bar down at the bottom of the software, and we have different buttons and different things we can see here, so I want to make sure that everyone is clear on what the difference is. Validate is, again, running validation for the form, but when you click validate while you're on a specific project, it is only validating that project address's information. So if I click validate, it's telling me on section 2 for the project 1G, the demolition start date cannot be later than the completion date. So you see when I went through and I did my data entry here, I had March 4th selected as the start date and February 9th as the completion date. So I need to go through here and correct my issue. If I click validate again, then it should say the form is valid. So if I click on save, then it will save this information. If you try to close it, so it's kind of like canceling without saving your changes, you will be prompted with a question asking you if you want to close this page. We'll probably modify that question to say without saving changes. I'm going to say cancel because I really don't want to lose my work. So I'm going to click save. And then I'm going to close this project, which will take me back to section 1. So you see now we have this information summarized here for one project that I have entered. So let's say I also have another project. Let's say the building next door is owned by the same owner, and it's in the same county, and this time it's actually going to be asbestos abatement. So I'm going to go through here and add another project address. And so I got the work for the building next door. So I'm going to go down here and I'm going to enter in a new the Reagan building and site location. So this one we are going to just do some abatement work, let's say. So the northwest corner of the basement. Okay, so this time I'm going to go through and do some renovation abatement work, and I'm going to remove the asbestos. Is asbestos present? Yes. I'm going to be removing a bunch of asbestos that's around pipes, let's say. So in this case, I know I'm going to need to give setup dates. So we're going to do this work after we're done with our demolition, let's say. So we're going to do this in April. We'll do start the abatement on the 12th, and we'll finish it up by the 20th. Okay, so while we're there on site, we need to schedule what our abatement specialists that are going to be there. So I'm going to pick on Josh Coe. There we go. So I should be able to only search for valid abatement specialists that are in the system, and we are syncing this data with ODH's online application system, so you should be able to see all the current information here for whoever the workers are that are going to be at the site. So I can select all the days that this person is going to be there and the hours that he's going to be on site. So let's say change the schedule to be 7 to 3:30. So you have the ability, if the person's working more hours, like they're also going to be working on the weekend from 8 to 12, or whatever the case may be, you have the ability to add additional time here if you need to. So once you've entered that information in, you can click on Save. You'll see that information appears. And let's see, I'm not doing demolition, so I don't need to submit a demolition contractor. I don't need to submit my demolition dates because they don't apply, and I also do not need to put my project on hold right now. So I'm going to click Validate on this form, and you see this form for this specific project is valid. So I'm going to save and close. So now you can see on the form I have two different projects. I have one with demolition only. I have one with abatement information that's required. So right now, you'll see a couple of things have changed on the screen here just to draw your attention to it. So down here on the bottom left, it gives you a total of what, in all of these projects, what's the total RACM amounts that are here. You can also see down on the bottom of the screen, this total fee amount has been calculated for you. So now if you take a look at this, I don't know if you can see that really well. Let me zoom it back in. Okay. You can see the total linear feet, square feet, cubic feet. It gives an explanation here of how all these fees apply, when they apply, how they are applied. And if you have more than one project, you can also come down here and view what characterizations of each project ended up making a fee applicable. So for example, in project number 1, the abatement licensing fees do not apply because it's a demolition only. It does apply for project number 2 because we are abating greater than 50 linear feet of material. So up here on the top is your summary and how we came up with the total amount due. Okay, so now I've run the validation on both of my projects. I ran the validation on the whole form before I finished entering in my different project site information. So let me just check real quick and see what else I've forgotten to do. So if I click on Validate, it's going to show me all of the information that I need to enter. Now you might ask, why did section 1 allow it to say validation was successful before, but now it's saying it's not? And the reason is that the software doesn't have a crystal ball. It doesn't necessarily know that you're going to be doing asbestos abatement or you're not. So once you are done entering in all your projects, you can come back here and run validation, and you can see what else it is that you need to complete based on all the project information that we now have. So in section 1, number 2, I need to give an abatement contractor. In section 1, number 6, I need to make sure that I answer these questions. And I also need to answer in section 1, question 7 and question 8. So I'm going to close that. And we're just going to go ahead and scroll to the top so I can look through it here. So you'll notice now the installation box has been checked because I have more than one project address that's associated with this county, with this owner, and now with this abatement contractor. So again, the system will only pull up valid abatement contractors that currently have current licenses. So we enter in our abatement contractor. If you choose the wrong one accidentally, again, you can click on the clear the asbestos abatement contractor data. If for some reason you have a contractor here that you're looking for and it's not showing up and you think that it should be a valid one, that's a case where you would call us at our helpline. Let me cancel this too. Okay, so I already have my billing contact information filled out. I'm not doing fire training, so I'm going to skip over that section. I already have my evaluation specialist. I've answered question number 4 and number 5. So question number 6 I need to complete. so I'm going to answer those questions. I need to enter an asbestos waste transporter. Since you can have more than one asbestos waste transporter, you have the ability to add more than one row here. So you click on Add Waste Transporter, and you can select one from our list, or you can also enter a new one if you need to do that. So I'll give a contact person. Need an asbestos waste disposal site. So you should be able to select the landfill here that you are taking it to. If you do not see it appear in this list, again, this is one where we do regulate at Ohio EPA landfill sites, so those we have a little bit more control over what new ones we are adding. So if you don't see the landfill you would like to take it to, if you can call us and let us know, we'll make sure that we add it for you. Okay, and again, this is not an emergency demolition or an emergency renovation. We have all of our project information filled out, and we should be good to go. So if we click Validate again, we see our form is valid. Okay, so when you run the validation on Section 1, it does include validation on both projects or whatever projects you have included, as well as Section 1. If you haven't clicked Validate and you just go through and fill out the form the way that you want to, and you want to just, plow through and not deal with clicking Validate to make sure you've got it all each time, we will make you go through the validation again when you click Submit. So I think I'm good to go here. I know my total fee amount is $158, so I'm going to click Submit. It will automatically pull up the fee summary so that you're aware of what fee will be due and all the details of how we came up with that number. Once you have reviewed that, you click Submit Notification. It pulls up this attestation language, which this makes sure that you're aware that the person that is submitting it must meet these requirements. So this is the point where it's up to you to make sure that the correct person that should be submitting the form is the person submitting the form. So I'm entering in my security question and my PIN number. And now we are navigated over to the Ohio EPA electronic payment system. So we have the option to pay with a credit card or pay with an electronic check. So I'm going to pay with an electronic check. So I enter in my PIN number again, because in order to pay with a check, you have to enter a PIN, which we already have. And answer my security question. So then we get navigated over to, this is the standard electronic payment engine for the whole state of Ohio. So we enter in our bank routing number for our fake checking account. Okay, so I can enter in my email address. And ask it to email me a receipt from the e-payment engine and click Continue. So it will ask you to confirm your information, which I have my correct fake checking account. Confirm. And then we have our receipt. So you can print this receipt for your records if you would like to. Once you reach this state, right now it is very important that you click on continue. Because if you click continue, it will navigate you back to this system here, and you'll note that it moves from the unsubmitted draft area down to this area where we have active notifications. From this point going forward, since you have submitted it and it's in the ready for review state, if you have any revisions that you need to make, you can do that by coming in here, clicking on Actions, and click Revise. When you do that, you are presented with the exact same screen, and I won't necessarily go through here and demonstrate 100 different things that you could do in revisions. The most important difference for you to note is that you have this button up here on the top right for each section so that you can indicate to us what it is that you have changed. So say, for example, down in section 2 for one of my projects, I need to change the start and end date of my project. So as a shortcut, I'm just going to click the end button on my keyboard, and that takes me down to the bottom of the form, and I can see my project addresses here. So I want to revise. I'm going to move the Reagan building. I'm going to go through and do that work a little bit sooner than I thought I was going to. So I click Revise Project Info, and then I pick which one I want to edit. And I come down here, and I modify my dates. Whoops. In order to do that, I need to click Revise Section E. And what this does is it indicates for the Ohio EPA user, once you've submitted it, which exact area they need to come in and see where those changes are. So let's say I'm now going to do this work. Now I'm going to set up on April 1st. I'm now going to begin the work on the 8th, and I'm going to leave my completion date out there because I'm not sure if I were going to be able to get done before that time. So we're going to leave that the way it is. Once you've made these modifications to the system or to the form that you need to, you can go through here and save, just like you did before, close the project to get back to this area. And as soon as you're ready, you can go in and hit submit. Again, it will give you a fee summary, but that's just kind of let you know how things have changed since whatever changes that you've made, but you do not have to make a payment at this time if there is a difference. So if I hit submit, I hit security question, answer that. And I see that now next to my active project notifications, there's now a little arrow next to my current project. And if I click on that, I can now see the revision history of that specific notification that I have out there. And I can go through and I can click on View PDF. And you want to make sure that you don't have a pop-up blocker turned on. So you should be able to click Done. There we go. And it will complete a form for you and populate the information that you have in the form, so that you have a PDF version that you can view of that. Okay, so let's say we want to cancel our project. So we've come in now and we've completed our notification, we've paid for it, and say we're coming in a week later and we want to cancel a project or put it on hold. If you want to cancel a project, you're going to come in here and you're going to click on Cancel. And if you can cancel a notification, it will only allow you to do so if the project has not begun for either demolition or abatement. You can also, if you have a specific documentation that you want to give us, then you can go through and give us an update the form, like if you have a letter that so-and-so said that you couldn't do the project or whatever the case may be, you can upload an attachment and click Cancel Notification. And once you've done that, it'll move down into the canceled area of the form. If you want, or the form, of this screen. If you need to put a project on hold, it is the same process as when you're submitting a revision. So you don't necessarily want to cancel a project if you actually want to put it on hold for a little while. So you can come in here and create, say, revise. I'm going to push end on my keyboard to get down to the bottom of my project here. Going to click Revise Project Info, click Edit, and if I go down to the end of Section 2, that's where the project hold dates are, and you can go through and indicate that you want to put your project on hold. So let's say on-site, off-site hold, start date, let's see, today's the 13th, so we're going to put it on hold here, and we expect this to come off of hold on the 23rd. So you would click Save here, and again, you would go in and submit this to put that project on hold. If for some reason I don't know exactly what the hold dates are and I need to ask somebody about it, I can always hit Save, and that revision will be up here in the pending area for us. So Ohio EPA can still see the original that you submitted to us, but the revision will not be submitted until you submit it. Okay. As far as other functionality of the software, I think I've covered most everything. Obviously, there are many different scenarios you guys are going to encounter as far as, with different contractor situations, with searching. But as far as the software is concerned, all of the searching and adding and button clicking is pretty much the same as what I've demonstrated here. I see that there have been several questions that have come in, and so we can go ahead and open it up to questions at this point. If you have any, and I can either show you additional demonstrations or Mark can help fill in. So if you have any questions that I was not able to answer, you can go ahead and type those questions in, and we're going to just go ahead and answer some of them that are here. Okay, so the question is, when will all handwritten notification revisions submitted previously be on the system? Okay, so this is a question from Bob Parks. And at the Department of Health, they had out on their public webpage all of the notifications that we have received were published on their website for you guys to search through. That is on our list of enhancements that we will make, and we intend on making that available again. I do not currently have a date on when that will be deployed, but we expect all things that are related to the software system to be wrapped up by summer 2018. So another question from Bob Parks, can an electronic revision be made to a handwritten original and vice versa? So I explained this through the course, but just to make sure that we're clear, when you come in to the system, you won't see any notifications here. You will be able to submit an original and do revisions after that point. You will not be able to revise previously submitted hard copy notifications through the software. Another question from Bob Parks. Who receives the violation fine if a demo contractor or asbestos contractor initiated notification does not start and demolition per the dates of the notification? I'll let Mark take that question. Can you read that?
Yeah, it's a long question.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, in these cases, the owner-operator, we can hold anyone on the notification. It's an owner-operator.
We can hear you. Might want to step up a little.
Yeah. As far as it's any owner-operator is responsible for the dates on the notification. So we can send the NOV to whoever we want. Most likely, it'll be the one whose dates were violated. So if it's the abatement dates that are violated, then it'll be the abatement contractor. If it's the demolition dates that are violated, it'll be the demolition contractor.
Okay. Next question. On multiple addresses, where do you want the evaluation specialist for each address? So again, we only have the ability for you to submit one evaluation specialist. If you have multiple evaluation specialists, you could list them in a document and attach it to the form. Okay, the next question is specific to a specific part of the notification form, so I'm going to pull up an example here. So section 1, so in section 1, item 6, work practices, this block here.
Okay. So they're wanting to know what you want in those.
And those are the same blocks that have been on the NESHAP's notification for the last forever. It's the federal requirements.
So the specific definitions of what each one of these means are in the instruction form that we have that you can get to by clicking on the question mark here. So it goes through and describes specifically what it means for intact removal, manual, or mechanical.
10 calendar days or 11?
You can start on the 11th day. It's the same way that it was on the Ohio EPA notification in the past, not the way it was on the ODH notification. So if you submitted today, you can submit on the 11th day, which is working days from today.
Right, so if you submitted today, then it would be 10 working days, which is Monday through Friday, not including weekends. Then on the 11th day, after those 10 working days have passed, that's the first day you can start work.
We have a question on the slides, if they'll be available. We'll also get those posted to the asbestos webpage, as will the recording of this webinar be posted. Is this the same as the other?
No.
No, okay.
Says, are you referring to the 10-day EPA notification when you say demolition notification? Yes. I mean,
yes.
It's all EPA notifications. It would be the NESHAP's part of the notification. But yes, the demolition notification is the same as the renovation abatement notification. It's the same form.
Yeah, all the business rules apply to both of them since it's all one combined merged form. There's an attestation question from Mike Fall. Does the notification require a responsible official submittal, or can any authorized person submit? The attestation language, and when you go through and do a PIN, like I was saying, depending on which service you're using in the e-business center, it requires different levels of responsible officials. As far as asbestos is concerned, there's that attestation language, but I'll let Mark speak more specifically to who's required to submit. Like who's required to sign it. It just depends on the situation.
It could be anyone. I mean, from the contractor, whoever submitted it, there's really no requirement. It has to be a specific person other than the person that's representing the owner-operator.
Do you have anything to add, Jim?
No, you got to the attestation language, the key to that is you're verifying that everything on that form is true and accurate.
Yeah, so the most important thing is to make sure that the data is correct on the form, but whoever submitted it is responsible for that information for being true and accurate, because they're the ones that are pinning saying that's the case. Okay, there's a question from Elizabeth, I think it's Cogley. If I got a PIN number for my account for stormwater, will that PIN stay the same, or will I have a separate PIN for asbestos? You will have the same user account and the same PIN number that you use for all of Ohio EPA items that you submit. So if you got one for stormwater last summer, you can use that same one for asbestos. Do you accept credit card payment online? Yes, we do, but only for notifications, we only accept online credit card payment if you submitted it electronically. So if you submitted the form electronically, then you're required to submit credit card or electronic check. If you get an invoice from us later on, you will be able to pay those online as well.
And there is a percentage charge, convenience charge for using a credit card?
Yeah, credit cards, whenever you use a credit card, there is a certain credit card fee that is applied. I think it's actually like 1.5 point-something percentage. That credit card fee is passed on to you guys at Ohio EPA, whereas some other organizations absorb that percentage fee. If you do pay with an electronic check, there is no fee for that at all. Let's see, Catherine Bainey, I believe. Does that mean all fees must be paid at the time of notification? The answer is yes. You cannot submit a notification and have it be complete and technically begin your 10 days without having completed payment of all the fees that are due for your notification. Can an unsubmitted form be canceled by the user? Oh, yes. Let me demonstrate that really quick. So if you are back on this screen here by the notification list, if you click a create new notification and say you're in the middle of working on this form and you save it and you go to lunch, come back in the next day and you have this notification form that you started working on, but you actually decide that you don't need to be working on one because you lost the job or whatever the case may be. You can go to that row and click Actions and choose Delete, and it'll ask you if you want to delete the notification and say yes. As long as it's unsubmitted, that's fine. You can delete it. Once it has been submitted to us, the only things you can do is either cancel it or adjust the completion dates for it to be done to get it out of the active notifications area. Okay, Ann Irving had a question. If I have a PIN for streams, do I need a separate one for a 10-day notification? No, you can use the same one. Okay, David, I think it's Brule?
Yeah.
Okay, when two separate contractors are working on a demolition and abatement project, will each contractor need to file their own separate notification? I think the answer to that is it depends.
Yes, it depends. If it's two separate abatement contractors, each abatement contractor will have to file their own notice, but the demolition contractor can be different. If it's an installation and you have 3 or 4 houses, each house can have a different demolition contractor on it, but there can only be one abatement contractor.
Okay, question from Vanessa Fowler. What do you enter if you do not have asbestos and no abatement has been done because a building survey showed no asbestos? That's fine. If you're going through and you are demolishing the building, I'm assuming that's the scenario, because that would be why you would be notifying us. If you're demolishing the building, then you can submit it for demolition only and have it just be asbestos no. And if there is no abatement necessary, you do not have to input a year there. It's just the answer is no, there is no asbestos, and that's fine. So that's all you have to do. We have a question from Bob Parks regarding local air agency fees. So Ohio EPA contracts with local air agencies in certain areas of the state, and some of those local air agencies have chosen through city rules or through county rules that they charge additional fees on top of what we charge, and we have no jurisdiction over those, and we have really no association with them at all. It's up to each office and their own city laws and regulations. So I cannot speak to how the local agencies will be charging their fees and how they will notify you of them. We don't know.
If they charge you fees in the past, you may want to call them and find out what they're going to be doing, how they're going to be handling those.
Yeah, because I think that some offices are doing away with their fees and other offices are not, but I do not know how they're handling those. Tracy Durham had a question. Do we have to upload the survey?
No, you don't have to upload a survey. can, if it's beneficial to us, if it's an abatement job where the contractor is responsible to have the survey, the building inspection report on site. If you upload it, and so we already have it, you wouldn't have to have it on site.
Okay, a question from Mike Fall. Can a preparer for another e-business center program prepare a notification and then delegate to the person who will submit? The answer is no. It is, right now it's being controlled based on your user account. So if you as the user are not the person that will be submitting it, then you should not go in and start the form because you will not be able to complete.
The answer is that there will be no monthly payments like it was with ODH for blanket notifications. So. Okay,
let me read the question from Tim Delph. So there's a yearly blanket, which is now called an annual notification that got established with ODH at the end of 2017. So that would have been for 2018. So the monthly fees for ODH have been taken out, but as people go through and submit revisions through the course of the year, we would go through and invoice at the end once all the completion dates have passed. Question from Michael Pierce. If you add a demolition contractor or abatement contractor, will that company only be seen by my company? So if you're say you're the demolition contractor and you are the person that has the username and the password and obviously the PIN number for that, and you go in and you complete your notification form and submit it, you, the user, like the one that holds that account, is the only person that's receiving notifications or like emails about that notification form that's been submitted, so they are not notified that you are submitting information about them. So the answer is yes, you're the only one that's going to be seeing that notification form until we put everything online for you guys to see, which again we're trying to accomplish by this summer. Question from Lisa Planes. When the form asks if the owner is a company, what if the owner is a municipality? Are they considered a company? The answer is yes. And we did not intend for that question to be as the word company is confusing. It's essentially, the way to look at it is this not a human. I mean, if it's not a human, it's a company for that question. So we might find a way to reword it, but there's instructions in that question mark next to it that explain what it means. Okay, so the question from Jill Kepler, if a job has been notified, then put on hold, if the project then is canceled by the owner, can we then cancel the notification? The notification can only be canceled if, in the software anyway, can only be canceled if the project start dates haven't passed. So if you put a project on hold, you would probably want to be also moving the start date if those start dates haven't begun yet. Otherwise, you'll be kind of caught in a situation where the project started. Okay, the question is, once a project is put on hold and it has the begin and end dates for the on hold status, does the project automatically fall off of hold? The answer is yes. Once you have put in those dates for when you're ending your hold period, it will come off of hold once that date has passed.
And also, if you have it on hold and your completion date passes, your project will come off the active project list too, because so you'll have to, if you're on hold as you've done in the past, you have to extend your completion date out so that you don't pass the completion date.
Okay. Okay, well, question from Bobby Mixter. If you deactivate your PIN number, do you create a new one or can you reactivate it? You can create a new one if you deactivate your current PIN, but you cannot reactivate one that you have deactivated. We have a question about if a notification is submitted by one person in account and a revision is needed to be made and that person or account isn't available, how are revisions to be made in their absence? If you're in a hurry, go ahead and you would need to submit that revision in hard copy. If you have a case where, you know, that person leaves the company or whatever, you know, the case is in the interim before we can begin delegating this information, you can also contact us and see if there's a way that we could transfer it to a different account. We might be able to handle that for you, but that would be a rare and extreme case that we would want to handle those that way. Okay, if the question from Lisa, in section 2, if it asks if asbestos is present and the answer is no, and asks the year abated, what do you put if it never had asbestos? You would just leave it blank. Okay, so the question, we had a question about whether or not if an abatement company complete the notification if they have to send it to the demo contractor. That is not a regulatory requirement. That would be a business decision. Okay, we have a question from Chris Jaskolka. Payable fees are only associated with asbestos abatement, not with the demolition, correct? That is not exactly correct. If you have a demolition only with no asbestos, then you would still have a $75 notification fee. You wouldn't have money associated with like RACM amounts, for example, but there is a notification fee involved. Okay, we have a question from Barry Rohrmeyer about asking if we will have a separate webinar for training providers. I'm not sure if that means for training provider notification requirements or not. We don't specifically have a training provider training scheduled. We will as soon as we stand up the remaining modules of the software in the e-business center, we will have specific training classes for how to submit applications for certifications, licenses, and all the training provider information.
Yeah, I mean, if you go down to the area where it talks about waste transporter, I believe it states asbestos in there. So if it,
can you repeat the question?
The question was whether the waste transporter, do you only want the company transporting asbestos or a removal company removing the waste, for example, steel or brick or whatever. The waste transporter question in 7 refers to asbestos waste transporters, so we only want the asbestos one.
A question from Bobby. Under the owner information, do you have to put the owner's contact information, or can you put the contact information for whom you are working with?
You can put whoever you want to, and there's nothing that associates the owner with the contact. If you're working for somebody different and that's the person that would be the owner's representative that we would want to call if we're doing an inspection or have questions about the project, you know, you can feel free to put that down. If you've got a third-party consultant you've hired that's handling the whole project for the owner, put their name down, that's fine too.
Okay, That's all the questions we've had chatted in. So if you have additional questions, go ahead and please chat them in. And Erica, why don't you bring up that last slide with the contact info as well. Yeah, and again, here's the phone number to call if you have questions, the email to call if you have questions. People are starting to log off. We'll just hang on here for another minute or so and see if people have any questions. But
are there more on the
no. And as far as questions go, if you have additional questions, you can feel free to email those to the asbestos@epa.ohio.gov, and we'll do our best to get those answered. Or if for some reason we didn't answer a question of yours.
Okay, we did have a couple more.
Okay, can you scroll up just one notch so I can see? Okay, a message from Peggy. If asbestos contractor did the notification and then the demo contractor wants to change his dates after the asbestos has been completed, how will they be able to revise since they did not do the original? That's a consideration when you're trying to decide who does the notification. It is possible that each contractor could submit their own notification so that the abatement contractor could submit for their portion, the demo contractor could do it for theirs. It is up to you guys, but you're correct that the way the system is currently designed, if the abatement contractor is the one that submitted it, they would have to go in and change the dates for the demo contractor. Okay. Michael Pierce question, when we enter more than one address to be abated on a single notification, is there more than a fee of $75? Okay, so if you have a single notification, you have more than one address, there is only one $75 NESHAP notification fee. Depending on the amounts of, if you're going through and submitting an abatement, depending on what the amounts of RACM are, then additional notification fees per site is applied for licensing certification fees. So those amounts will depend on what your total fee amount ends up costing, which is why it's kind of a convenience when you use the software that it figures all of that out for you. But that fee summary page should be able to indicate to you which areas you're getting charged the licensing notification fee for as well. Get that one.
Okay.
We already answered that one. So. Okay. Answer for Carrie Kogar. I'm the person responsible for notifications at my office. I'm the only one in the office with a PIN. What happens with the notifications if I am sick or on vacation? Again, that's a situation where unfortunately if it's an emergency, that they submit the revisions while you're out of the office. I mean, it's not required that you necessarily submit the revision within one day. I mean, it just depends. You can contact us depending on the situation, and we can help you through it one way or the other. Question from Elizabeth Cogley, sorry. Will paying by electronic check take longer to get the notification approved than a credit card? The answer to that is no. It's the same amount of time for either one. The system is currently active. It was made available January 26th. So it's out there right now. People have been submitting things. Okay, just to be clear, we have a question from Stacy Corrigan. For a project that has both asbestos abatement and demolition, can the demolition contractor submit notification, or does it have to be the abatement contractor? Either contractor can submit it, or the owner can submit it. That's
the only one that can revise it is the one that submit the original.
Right. Okay, question from Corey Clark. Do we use the same software for a blanket notification? We now refer them as the new MERGE program. Those are annual notifications, and yes, you will be able to use this software to submit them. That ability, we'll have it available every year starting November 1st, and then it will shut off after December 21st, I believe, because that's kind of the window that you have to submit an annual. So you have to submit it 10 days before January 1st. Again, just to be clear, in addition to the enhancement that we plan on for you to be able to delegate who can submit different items, we do intend on making project notifications available to everyone online. It just will not be available until this summer. A question from Tammy Stevens. If the abatement contractor files a notification but doesn't list us as demolition contractor, do I need to file an original or can I do a revised notification? You would need to submit an original notification if the demolition had not been notified previously. Covered that one. Okay. A question from Khalidra Welker. For industry structures, what constitutes start of demolition? The knocking down of the building or any work on piping / electric work, et cetera?
It'd be the removal of load-bearing members of the building, not work on piping or electrical. The question was, do we need to upload the asbestos inspection report with each notification, even if the report states no asbestos? You don't have to upload the report to begin with. You can if you'd like to. So there's no requirement you have to upload a report.
Question from Jennifer Copeland. If I have a PIN number through another company, can the same PIN number be used for SRI for notifications? So if I'm understanding this correctly, if you have an account and a PIN number that you're already using for representing you as an individual at that company, you can continue to use it throughout your career, even if you move to a different company, because it represents you as a person. So yes, you can continue to use the same account and PIN number.
The next question is, where is the best place to look for information to determine when a notification must be submitted? I mean, the only place to look is the rules, and to understand the rules or have the requirements when you need to and when you don't need to submit a notification. If you can't find the answer to your question in the rules, then you need to call in here to the EPA asbestos program and talk to one of us.
Question from Michael Pierce. When there is more than one address on a single notification, is there more than one $75 fee? So the answer is no, that fee only applies once per notification, but the $65 notification fee for licensing and certifications may apply to each individual address. Question from Tim Delf. Do annual notifications submitted via hard copy to ODH for 2018 transfer to Ohio EPA? Yes, they will end up on our website once we get that stood up, but yes, if you did submit one for 2018 and we received it, it came over here. And we answer that. We answered that one. Okay, Stacy Corrigan, for a project that has both asbestos abatement and demolition, can the demolition contractor submit notification, or does it have to be the abatement contractor? The demo contractor can also submit it. Yeah. Question from Tracy Durham. As office manager, I will be submitting all the notices. However, the data comes from the owners. I am responsible. Are they supposed to enter under their own PIN? So as of now, the way the system is set up, you would go through and when you're entering in your PIN number and you're saying that your attestation language, you're saying that you are the person that's responsible for submitting it. We will be making it so that you can, delegate or share that notification with your owner so that they can go in and submit and sign off on it later on. But we hope to have that, relatively soon, within the next few months. We might be able to, if it's a specific situation where you feel like, you're submitting some huge notifications where you're going to have, many houses going on, we may be able to have some sort of like a hard copy attestation filled out for them where they have like the responsible official sign the hard copy and upload that to it so that your PIN number is representing that, you did the data entry, but they are the ones signing off on it. We don't necessarily want to do that pretty often, but if it's going to save everyone a lot of time to get them in that way, please call us and we can see if we can work through it.
The next one from Bobby Mixter, can an annual notification be submitted anytime during the year? The rules for annual notifications say they have to be submitted 10 days before the end of the calendar year. This year we've had some confusion on annuals, what's going on, what's not going on. If you have a situation, I would say to give the office a call and talk to me or Josh Coe, and we may be able to work something for this year, but for the following year, for next year, we will be adhering to the letter of the law. So.
Okay, question from Elizabeth Cogley. So question, just clarification, it is okay for both a demolition contractor and an abatement contractor to submit notifications for the same project? The answer is yes. Will they both be charged the $70 notification fee? It is a $75 notification fee, and the answer is yes, and she corrected herself. Yes. Thank you. Yeah, let's see. Jackie Greasley had a question. Abatement notifications cannot be revised to add demo contractors. You can change the notification form if you originally submitted and you need to change the demo contractor that you indicated, or it turns out that the building needs to be demolished, and so therefore you need to add the demo information. You can do that. The system accommodates that through a revision.
Okay, this will be our last question for today.
Okay. A question from Kalidra Welker. Ohio Asbestos Hazard Evaluation Specialist and Evaluation Procedure. What would you recommend if the specialist is in your system, but the expiration date is old? He has a 2018 expiration now. For the evaluation specialist, the system should allow you to go ahead and enter that person in because the work that they did at the time that they had a valid license is still effective now. So the work that he did back then that was valid is still valid today.